Welcome back, adventurers, to some more King's Quest II, Romancing the Stone. You may remember in the first episode I made a little friend here in the haystack, but today I have a cloth that may help him out, so let's try that out.
Here, this might help your sneezing.
Oh, thanks.
That is a mighty sneeze.
Here, you can have this back now.
That is gross.
You retrieve the partially used cloth from the haystack.
Feel better?
Yeah, it's so good to be able to
Nice. Looks like I have found a needle in a haystack. What are the chances of that happening?
You take the silver needle.
So now I want to head back into the library and see if I can get any more information about the second gemstone, which is apparently somewhere in the sky. So let me see if I can find anything out from a book. Of course, I'm going to talk to the friendliest librarian the land has ever known. Miss Sunshine over here.
Yes?
Could you recommend another good book?
She hobbles back there to her secret stash of books.
There!
So let's see what this one's all about.
This book is entitled Legends. Browsing through it, you notice an interesting excerpt.
Daventry's first king, known to many as Legend Emor, is as much an enigma of history as he is woven into the fabric of legend itself. Though his passing occurred nearly 1,000 years ago, it remains somewhat unclear as to the manner of his death and what became of the power he wielded. Historians do know that Legend Emor was a powerful magician, or a wizard, as he might be called nowadays. He is largely credited with bringing, along with his kind, magic and civility to Daventry and the surrounding world. According to legend, during what was arguably the bloodiest war Daventry has ever seen, Legend Emor sought to commit his awesome power to the cosmos. It is believed that he blamed himself for the extent of the Great War, in particular, the magic that had been used to exacerbate the death toll. He therefore chose to render himself mortal, an action that would prove to be his last. However, legend would also suggest that his power may be attainable, if only one were able to perceive and understand how and when. This is evidenced by a parchment located just a few centuries ago and dated 30 years after the first king's death. If seeketh you the power of Legend Emor, thou shalt be well appraised. It will not be an easy task, for in the path thou may be swayed. For in great Daventry lies the means for which it may be found, belonging to one who rules the land by one who wears the crown. From this circle nature springs, from royal thoughts thus sown. Though woe betide the unjust thief who claims it for his own. In this great land 'tis known to rest the corpse of Legend Emor, who died defending his home turf in the longest fiercest war. His great mistake which sealed his fate, he cast his magic aside, up high into the heavens which forever stretches wide, but the search may be rewarding for the seeker of this power, as its apex soon approaches, when cometh the darkest hour. Hark! Spy sun and moon and planets, as all of them align. The one prepared for the ascension will surely see the sign. Power thus can then be granted to just one from the great tool. If one be thee, then thou shalt be the everlasting jewel. Now it's pretty obvious that when I was in elementary school, I was never part of poetry reading club or anything like that, because I did a pretty bad job reading this. But anyways, the first king's brother, Margalan, was also presumed killed in the Grand War. Legend Emor's loyal first knight and successor, Granthator, ruled over the realm for nearly 50 years. He sired a number of children who either remained to guarantee the continuation of the royal bloodline, or set forth to build kingdoms of their own. Let me see if she has another book available.
Yes?
Could you recommend another good book?
And there she goes, wobbling back once again. Maybe this book will give me a hint.
There!
Okay.
This book is entitled Power, Politics, and Pulpits. Browsing through it, you notice an interesting excerpt.
In many lands, the church and state have long shared a mutual distrust of one another. While the state is responsible for the wealth and security of the realm, the church's concern is for the moral standing of the population. It is said that when one intrudes upon the domain of the other, discord is inevitable. In no other place has this been more unpleasant than Kolyma. The feud between the two institutions there dates back many decades. In the days of the late Count Crestrom, the Lord of Kolyma spoke openly of the need for change, chiefly regarding the education of the common people. The Church of the Faith maintained that the simple people were of the land. They knew their rightful place, and thus their path was secure. Years later, the young and idealistic Count Kaldor, Craystrom's heir, declared that the Church of the Faith had purposely been holding the people back, retaining their ignorance of literature and the wider world for their own selfish benefit. Naturally, the Church resented this insinuation and in turn declared Kaldor a heathen. At that time, the mood of the population had tensed, stability in the realm had weakened as dissension between the Church and state rose. It may have continued to do so had the situation not been annulled by tragedy. The Count befell a terrible injury while in the forest one night, which later proved fatal. While it expressed its condolences to the family of the fallen lord, the Church of the Faith asserted that only through its own vision for Kolyma, not the rulers, could the people find their true path. It is a curious point to note that no new leader has been chosen to replace Kaldor, though it has been many years since his passing. When questioned about this, the townsfolk are likely to either ignore the inquiry altogether or cast a furtive glance in the direction of the now inaccessible castle. Very interesting. So there's actually a lot of truth to that little excerpt there. If you're a fan of history, you know that there were many quarrels between church and state, mainly during the medieval period. If the church didn't necessarily agree with the country's policy, they would excommunicate the king, and then there would be all sorts of religious wars popping up. And also, it's well known that the church in the medieval period liked to keep the people illiterate and unable to read or access the Bible. In fact, only the clergy had access to read the Bible. That way they could dictate what the population kind of knew and kind of what they expected. And, I mean, that's kind of beyond the scope of this playthrough, honestly. But if you're a history buff, it's an interesting time period and an interesting dynamic to note the relationship between church and state through the ages. Anyways, this is the Curiosity Shop. A lot of cool things here. Let's look around a little.
Ah, dragonfire! Oh, no, wait. It's just a mounted dragon head. Whew.
It's a cool little loot
A
here.
well-crafted loot awaits the anxious buyer. Apparently, this interesting-looking item is a Model DX cartridge retrieval unit. Quite a useful little device in another time and place. It is a red sorcerer's hat.
So here and in any other screen in the game, you obviously can interact a lot with the environment and get a lot of cool little things that the narrator says. But I'm trying to, keep the story flowing here. So let me talk to this lady.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you, dear?
Hello. Do you sell anything that would aid an ascent up a mountain?
Unfortunately, I do not sell climbing equipment or anything of that sort. This is really a specialist store.
Oh,
However, I do have an item which you might find useful. This lamp is said to contain a genie. Never tried it myself, of course. I do not believe in using magic to solve my problems. Nature has made us as we are, and we should be glad of that.
uh-huh. How much for the lamp?
The old lady hesitates. You sense she wants more from you than your money. You hope it is not anything that you will regret.
Well, seeing as how you are a man who seems adept at taking care of himself, perhaps you could do a small favor for me?
Somehow, you knew she was going to say that.
I once owned a beautiful nightingale, quite rare around here, but the sentimental value far outweighs its monetary worth. That foul old witch Hagatha has stolen it from me, probably to use in some concoction or another.
Her nose screws up in disgust.
So, if you could be a sweetie and retrieve it for me, I will trade you. The lamp for the bird. Agreed?
Well, I will see what I can do.
Do be careful. If Hagatha should spot you out of her good eye, then you'll be in for it.
Okay, so it sounds like I need to retrieve a nightingale from Hagatha in order to get that lamp. Maybe there's a genie in there that can help me reach the skies for the second gem. So let me head on over to Hagatha's cave. That's gonna be pretty exciting. It's not a King's Quest game without a good hag. If you remember, the first game had a hag, and I pushed her into a cauldron. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched that playthrough yet. But anyways. So her cave is actually near where I first met Possum, so I'm going to make my way westward here. I love this game so much, man. The first time I played it, it was just such a crazy, epic adventure. Doing it without a walkthrough or anything like that. It just took me a long time to explore this world, figure everything out. It's really exciting. Really love the King's Quest series. And here's her cave.
As you near the cave, the bat symbol above the entrance starts radiating an ominous black glow.
So it appears there's some sort of magic barrier here on the cave. So let me examine some of these skulls here.
It is a human skull with a radiant blue stone wedged into its eye socket.
Okay, interesting. So let me see if I can turn this skull to face that bat symbol.
As you face the skull towards the image of the bat above the cave, you notice that its wing has faded slightly. However, you suspect that whatever danger the bat represents is still in effect.
So perhaps if I can get a blue glow from this skull to the other wing, I may be able to disarm any sort of spell that's here. So of course, let's take the most important thing I have in my inventory, the birth gem. Not important at all, right? Let's jam it into a skull, because that's a good idea.
As you attempt to place the birth gem into the skull, you discover that it does not fit properly. Instead, it juts out uselessly like a bulging eyeball.
So again, let's take the most important thing King Graham has ever had in his possession, the birth gem, and let's smash it in with a giant mallet. Totally a good idea.
You gently tap the birth gem with the mallet, hoping not to break it. It budges only slightly. You give it a harder hit. It moves a bit more. You hold your breath and give the gem an almighty thwack. It pops into the skull.
Excellent. Now let me turn the skull to the wing here.
With the birth gem now firmly in place, you turn the leftmost skull so that it faces the bat symbol above the cave entrance. The power of the two skulls combined has caused the bat symbol to disappear. You sense whatever danger it represented has now subsided.
Okay, time to go inside Hagatha's cave.
As you enter, you are almost overwhelmed by the foul stench which molests your nostrils. It is obviously coming from whatever Hagatha is cooking in that large cauldron of hers. There are some things of interest on the other side of the cave, but you have no means of crossing over there safely at this time. A caged nightingale sits on the floor near the northern cave wall. The light from outside barely penetrates the interior of this cave. So long as you keep your distance, Hagatha shouldn't notice you.
Okay, so let me stay near the periphery of the cave here. Now let me examine this cloak.
Being as quiet as a mouse, you slide your hand inside the cloak to discover a deep pocket. Amongst sticky and disgusting spell ingredients, you find a tiny silver key and a peculiar golden ring-shaped device.
Perfect. Let me keep making my way towards the cage here. And let me cover the little bird with a cloth, that way he doesn't make any noise.
You silently drop the cloth over the cage.
And then let me use the key to unlock the cage.
You slide the silver key into the lock. It fits. You turn it silently, and the chain falls to the ground.
Perfect. Now let me take the nightingale and get out of here.
Without making a sound, you take the nightingale into your possession.
Okay, let's go. Let's get out of here quickly before she notices anything. And now I do need my birth gem back, so again, why not just smack the crap out of it with a giant mallet?
You strike the skull with all your strength, and it shatters easily. The birth gem clatters to the ground, along with a multitude of bone fragments.
I like how Graham doesn't even try to gently take the gem back and just smacks the crap out of that skull with all his strength.
You reacquire the birth gem.
Thankfully, the birth gem didn't break. But now let me take out the cloth from the Nightingale, that way he gets a little bit of sunlight. Poor little guy.
You remove the cloth from the cage.
And then let me take a look at the cage here.
Looking at the bottom of the cage, you find that a letter has become stuck to it. You peel it off.
Okay, and there is a letter.
You read the letter.
My dear sister, it has been a while since my last letter to you, and quite an age since we last spoke. Such are the busy lives we lead. I know of your preoccupation with eliminating your competition, and wish you well in that ongoing endeavor. As for my part, the servant I have owned for the past 17 years is soon to come of age. It will almost be a shame to kill this one, for he is quite adept at his chores. But the tradition must be observed at all times. I shall require a replacement in the not-too-distant future. Perhaps I should think of a new name for my next slave, though it is that much easier when I need only remember one. I've asked the father to notify me at once, should he hear of any likely candidates. Speaking of which, though it is in no way my place to question the will of the father, for surely he has the best interest of all his followers at heart, does he not spend so much time locating that item of legend which he has been seeking for almost a millennium? While he is not to be second-guessed, I do wonder, is he so assured of its existence that he is willing to turn his attention away from his flock for so long a time? As for our remote brother, he seems increasingly interested in the ladies these days. I believe he has an eye for a royal couple who are expected to conceive a girl within the year, or so the signs say. I must confess, if he's prepared to wait so many long years for the child's maturation before abducting her, then he has far more patience than I. I await your reply, dear sister, and hope that this letter finds you well. If you have the chance to speak with the father, perhaps you'll inquire of his commitment to the item he seeks. I would advise the utmost discretion, naturally. Your loyal and far better sibling, M. Interesting. So apparently Hagatha has a sister named M something.
The letter puzzles you, but you put it away and continue your quest.
And from what it sounds like, it appears that the father is looking for that immortality from the first king of Daventry. That's what it sounds like. And apparently these people here are in some sort of cult. They keep slaves, and apparently there's a prophecy of a royal couple marrying and having a daughter. Is it King Graham? Who knows? I think we're going to find out as more information is revealed. But for now, let me head back into town and give the Nightingale to the store owner and return for the magic lamp. Now, the developers of the new King's Quest game said that Chapter 3 should be out on April 27th, and I'm super excited about that. In fact, that's pretty soon, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this game before then. But if I don't, I'll just upload episodes from both of the games at the same time. So that should be exciting. It's actually going to be my goal to be the very first person to upload a video for the Chapter 3 of King's Quest. Hopefully I can follow through with that. Okay, and let me give this lady her Nightingale. I like the music in here.
You offer the Nightingale to Angelina. The sheer elation on her face almost makes the whole risk worth the while. She snatches it from you and proceeds to fuss over the bird. You wait for a moment, but it seems she no longer notices you.
If you don't mind, about the lamp you promised me in trade for the Nightingale?
The shopkeeper looks up at you vaguely. She gradually remembers that there is another being in her world.
Yes? Oh, yes, take it. You'll have no beginning of use with it.
Don't you mean no end of use?
Of course. Whatever you say, dear.
You hear Angelina muttering cheerfully to herself as she exits.
Finally, I have the final ingredient for that marvelous youth potion. I am going to beat you to the punch, my dear Hagatha. Serves you right for hoarding this sweet, juicy thing to yourself.
You feel a nauseous tinge in your stomach. Well, at least the lamp is now yours.
So it sounds like these hags here are in search of a youth potion. Oh my god, typical women. Here we go, let's take the lamp.
You take the old lamp.
And of course, you have to rub a lamp.
You rub the lamp and wait expectantly, but nothing happens. You're about to give it another try when a small puff of smoke appears at the end of the spout. It clears, revealing a note. As you remove it, the lamp disappears. You read the scroll.
To the unlucky fool who bought this lamp. As you may have gathered, this lamp is no longer containing a fabulous genie, as my former master, praise him in his greatness, has released me with his final wish. However, as a consolation, please be advised of the following. The shopkeeper is not to be trusted. She dabbles in the black arts and keeps rather distasteful company. May these words reveal what lies beneath, and may your findings lead you to a higher position in life. So hard like a stone, and white like the snow, stands silent the man who guards what's below. May you forever know the beauty of freedom. Signed, Nibor Sima Will, the genie. So it's a bit of a hint. He's saying that a thing that's white and stony may hide something below that may lead me to a higher place. So maybe to the skies where the next gem is. So actually that hint is over here, this statue. So let me touch it.
Upon closer examination, you discover that the statue hides a small latch. You flip the latch and watch in amazement as a trap door opens up from the floor.
Perfect, so he was hiding what's below, and then maybe down here we can find something that will lead us to the skies above.
You close the trap door behind you.
First of all, let me read this letter here.
You read the letter sitting on the desk.
Angelina, which is the shop owner, once again, I put to you an invitation to join our illustrious community. Unsurprisingly, you have heard of its reputation through other channels. I personally encourage you to give it a serious thought. We are not only interested in new membership from the mages of this world, this invitation goes out to all who believe that, when the appointed time comes, only the faithful will be rewarded. The rest of those poor, unenlightened fools will perish. All that is asked in return is complete allegiance to the Father. He has guided us from the beginning, and his power is far older than most. I know you are hesitant due to concerns regarding the dress code. Let me assure you that black would simply look charming on you, dear. My gratitude goes out to you for your flattering assertion that I would make a fine ruler of Kolyma. What a shame that the former ruler has lost all interest in his homeland. I cannot blame him, however. The change struck him quite hard. To answer your earlier question, yes, I have acquired a nightingale, and they are most uncommon in this region, and yes, I am quite sure that it is the final ingredient required to complete my youth potion. As much as I would like to share it with you, I am afraid that a single nightingale will provide only enough solution for one person. In any event, I shall, of course, pay you a visit the moment the youth potion takes effect. H. So I can only assume this is a letter from Hagatha to Angelina. And it appears that some more information is coming to light about this cult led by the father. And there's this carpet here that's kind of sticking out a little bit, so let me take that.
As you pick up the carpet, you notice a small label which reads, Property of Al Din. There might be a faded letter or two in there, but you cannot be sure. Above you, from the back room, you discern Angelina's voice.
I did it! I did it! The youth potion is finally finished. All I need to do now is drink it.
Angelina, show yourself, you scurvy wench.
Agatha? My dear! What an unexpected surprise!
Don't you play the fool with me. I know you stole it.
Stole? Really, I do not know.
Silence. For your lies and deceit, there can be only one consequence.
No, please. I can explain.
I said silence. Oh, and one more thing. Your invitation to join us is revoked. What is this? potion at last. Oh no! Drat! Now what was that spell for removing floorboards? Curses! I shall have to go back and look it up.
So I don't know what happened to Angelina here, but it sounds like Hagatha cast a spell on her, maybe even killed her, who knows, but let me take the potion.
You fish around in the pile of down and successfully retrieve the youth potion.
Now this letter also kind of implied that Lord Kaldor may still be alive and just has not taken an interest in ruling the kingdom. I don't know what's going on here, it's a bit of a mystery.
Cautiously, you open the trapdoor ever so slightly and peer into the room above. Hagatha is nowhere to be seen. You make your exit from the basement.
Okay, let me close the trapdoor.
You flick the latch. The trapdoor closes and conceals itself into the floorboards once more.
And let's get out of here. So when I took that carpet, it said property of Al Din, but there was a missing letter or two in between Al and Din, so if you put that together, you know that it probably says property of Aladdin, meaning that we're in possession of a magic carpet. And if you know anything about magic carpets, you know that they fly to the sky. And if you know anything about this game, you know that we're trying to get to the sky, so I'm going to try to take a beautiful magic carpet ride up into the heavens. Let's try it out.
You unroll the magic carpet, lay it on the ground, and sit on it. The carpet begins to rise skyward.
Perfect. Just what I wanted.
As you ascend higher, you realize that the carpet is beyond your control. It glides through the air on a seemingly predetermined course.
Excellent. So I'm all the way up here. What is up here? We will find out in the next episode, so I hope you're enjoying the series. Be sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to my channel for a ton of King's Quest content. Again, I'm playing the new King's Quest game as the chapters come out, and I'm also going to be uploading every King's Quest game that has ever been made, so I hope you're excited about that, and thanks again for watching, see you next time.